Hello everyone, you're welcome to my channel once again. On today's tutorial, I'll be showing you how to use your measurement to draft a basic pattern. So let's just get right into it. Meet Nancy, my best friend. Nancy, I use Nancy to take measurements of almost everything that I do, and I use Nancy to learn how to do most of my sewings. So first of all, when you want to start your measurement, there are some terms we use. We have the round shoulder. When you're measuring, it all depends on you. If you want, you measure with either on the by inch or by centimeters. It's still the same thing. So this is round shoulder. This is how you measure round shoulder. So, and this is how we measure our shoulder. This is how we measure our shoulder. This is a standard measurement for an average person. This is 8 inches. Standard measurement for shoulder is 8 inches. Yeah, and this is how we measure it from here down here. But if you're not including here and you want to measure the normal typical measurement of the shoulder from here is 5 inches. Okay. So then we go down here, from here down here. This is shoulder to bust point. This is your bust point is, we usually call it nipple to nipple, but to me it doesn't sound right. So I call it bust point. So from your shoulder to your bust point, to the bust point of Nancy's bust point is 9 inches. Mind you, this is an example. So when you're taking your own measurement, the measurements are going to be a bit different. So this is Nancy's measurement. Her shoulder to her bust point is 9 inches. Then her bust point, that is the nipple to nipple, is 8 inches. That's from here to here is 8 inches. Her round neck is 18 inches. Then there's what they call armhole. Your armhole is just round your arms like this, round. Your armhole is just going round like this. You go round like so. This is how you make your armhole. So this is how we get our armhole. Round your arm, yeah. Then shoulder to waist, 14 inches. Okay, this is shoulder to waist. Remember the first one was shoulder to nipple, shoulder to waist now, and the next one is shoulder to hip, which is 26 inches. Then another measurement we're going to take is under bust, your under bust measurement. When you're taking measurements, always make sure you leave like a little bit of a space. You can make it half an inch. Yeah. Her under bust is 31 inches. Her waistline is still 31, and her hip line is 40. And when you want to measure your hip line, hold it firm like this and pass it through until you are able to go all the way down and pass through your bump down. So whatever you get when you do that is your measurement, your hip measurement. So I think that is just the basic measurement that we need for now. And when you want to take your arm measurements is just typical from here to here. Wrist measurements, you just pass it round, just go all the way around like so, and leave a little bit of space. So I think with this we are ready to make our pattern, right? And from here, and when we make that straight line, we are going to measure out our shoulder to nipple. Our shoulder to nipple is 9 inches. That's her bust point. Her waist is 14 inches, at 14 inches, and her hip is 24 inches down here. So I'm going to make a straight line on them, and I'm going to give them their names. This is hip, this is waistline, this is your chest line, this is your bust line. So remember we said Nancy's shoulder measurement was a total of 8 inches. So we're going to mark out her neck line from here. We'll mark it here, 3 inches. We mark out 3 inches here for her. This is standard measurement for an average sized person. And we're going to come down here 3 inches as well. That is standard measurement as well to get the neck. So all we need to do now is make a rule here. Let the points meet each other. And after doing that, you use your French curve. You use a French curve and curve it. I would advise you, if you haven't got this, to buy it because you need it. So we just mark it this way. So now we have formed our curve for this. We have formed the neckline. This is a neckline formed here. So from here, we are going to measure out 5 inches down here. 5 inches from here, that is here. And from here, we come down by 1 inch. So when we come down by 1 inch, we'll now trace this particular 1 inch to here, to the neckline. That is how we get our shoulder slope. This is how we get our shoulder slope. Right? Our pattern is gradually forming. We're going to get our armhole, and how to measure to get our armhole is either you measure your armhole round, and what you get, you divide it by 2. So Nancy's measurement is 14 inches, so divided by 2 is 7 inches, which is here. So I'm going to make a line here. Going to make a line here, and that is the 7 inches. I'm going to trace this line from here down here. That is the 7 inches. So this is our upper bust line. This is the bust line. This is upper bust line, or your upper chest. So that is it. So this is how we are getting our armhole. Armhole is either you use your measuring tape round your armhole, or divided by 2, or your bust point divided by your bust measurement. Like Nancy's measurement is 36 divided by 6 plus 1. So at the end of the day, 36 divided by 6 is 6 plus 1, 7. And as you can see, the measurement I got for Nancy's round measurement as well is 7. So that is why we have this 7 here. So let's remember that this is Nancy's bust line. So her bust line is 36 inches. So 36 divided by 4 is 9 inches. 36 divided by 4 is 9 inches. So let's remember this term, that when we are taking measurement for the bust line, the waistline, and the hip line, we need to divide by 4. So the bust line is 36 divided by 4 is 9 inches plus 1. 1 is your sewing allowance. So the sewing allowance, so we're going to mark out 9 inches. So we mark 9 inches here. This is it. 8 inches, but with our sewing allowance we have that. So the waistline is 31 inches. So 31 inches divided by 4 is 7.5. 7.5 plus sewing allowance. 7.5. This is 7.5 plus sewing allowance of an inch. That is 8.5. And our hip point is hip line is 40 inches. Nash's hip line is 40 inches. So 40 inches divided by 4 is 10 plus 1, which is the sewing allowance, that which is 11 inches. So we have 11 inches here, and we still map out. Always remember that your sewing allowance is very important, especially for fabrics that are non-stretchy. If the fabrics are not stretching, this is a must. You need to add it. But if the fabrics are stretching, you just don't need to add the extra an inch. So now we are going to join them together. So our pattern is gradually forming. So now we're going to make it curve a little bit. We make it curve a bit because it's a woman we are making, a woman clothes, so we curve it to make it look nice. We don't sew straight for women. We are going to determine our armhole from here. Remember, we have measured 7 inches from here. So since we've measured 7 inches from there, we're going to get the midpoint of this. So the midpoint of this is 3.5 inches here, and since this is 3.5 inches, we are going to take half an inch backwards from here. So that is here. Then I'm going to use my ruler to measure it down like so. Then I use my French curve to curve it down, all the way down. So I'm going to still do the same thing. Then to get, this is the back, this is the front armhole we're getting here. So we're getting our front armhole. So to get our back armhole, see this midpoint here? This midpoint here, we're going to use it and add our French curve to that point and trace it all the way down here. So this is how we are getting our back armhole. Then now, because this is the front neckline, we need to get the back neckline. So I just want mine to be like half an inch from here. So I'm going to measure half an inch because I want my neckline from the back to be half an inch. So I'll just measure 1.5 inch from here. Then I use my French curve again, curve it from here. So this is what the back will be looking like. This is what the back will be looking like. So now that we have gotten this measurement, we'll now be looking at making our dart. We need to make our dart because when we put our clothes on, why it is so fitted around here is because we add dart. So if you want to get your dart is your bust point. Where your bust point is, the distance between your nipple, they call it nipple to nipple, but I call it bust point. So that is 8 inches. Remember that Nancy's bust point is 8 inches. So since it's 8 inches, 8 inches divided by 2 is 4 inches. Since it's 4 inches, we'll go in this way here. This is 4 inches. So we're going to make a straight line from here. We keep on measuring 4 inches there, 4 inches over here, and 4 inches over here. So we're going to trace the line. Trace the line we just keep tracing, and from here we are going to make half an inch on each side. Half an inch on each side is this. This is half an inch. Then from up here we are coming down by an inch. This is where an inch is, and down here we are going up by 2 inches, which is here. So now we are going to, from this point, meet here, and from this point we meet here. Why we, as I explained before, why the dot is necessary is because we like our clothes fitted. So if, unless you want to make a loose clothes, that is the only time you don't need dot. And also if you're making clothes that are stretchy, you really don't need dot. And one very important thing when making this clothes, when making this, as you created a dot here, it is important that this 1 inch that you have taken here, you replace it here. So now we are going to add an extra 1 inch here because this has been taken. If you don't add it here back, if you don't add it here back, the cloth is going to be extremely tight, because whatever you take here, whatever you take away from here, you need to add it back here to allow fit and ease. So we are adding back an inch here. So we are adding back an inch here. So I hope you understand what I'm doing and where I'm coming from. If you find this a bit difficult, I am ready to redo this again for you to understand. I really want you to understand this because, as I said, this is very vital for you. It is very vital for you to create this if you are making a cloth that is non-stretchy. And if you have to create this, return whatever you take from here, return it back at the side. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and cut it out. We first of all cut out the back, then we now finalize it. So we start by cutting it out like so. So you have to be careful when you're cutting, because what we are doing now is cutting out the back first. So now we've cut out the back. So now we've cut out, this is the back, this is Nancy's back, and this is the front. So now that we've cut out the front, we're going to cut off all the excess. We're going to cut off all the excess, cut this off. You see, the front is usually deeper than the back, and our shoulders are always slant, not straight. That is why we always come down by an inch. If you see, the shoulder measurement here is slant. That is why. So now, because the back has been created, if you still need to make a dot on your on the back, it's still the same thing. Nothing has changed. All you need to do is just make a marking. To trace. So we have the measurements already here. All we need to do now is to trace it. Trace it. And our waistline. The only difference with this other one is, the only difference with this is, with the front, is that the only difference with the back is that the dot is a lot longer at the back compared to the front. So here we have our, this is our waistline, and we know that we are taking half an inch after measuring our 4 inches. This is our 4 inches, so half an inch on both sides. This is our half an inch. So we are starting our measure. We are tracing from here straight away. Remember, at the front we need to come down by an inch. Well, because it is at the back, that's why I said the dot is longer. So we trace from here down here. Same thing from here, like so, down here. We do the same thing over here. We come up here by 2 inches, don't forget. Then we trace it. Do the same thing here. If you know that you can't do this, you can just make a straight line before doing this, before getting your dot. So that is the difference. And our pattern is ready, and we are going to be using this to make almost all our dresses. So in our next video, we are going to be making a dress from this pattern. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please remember to give me a thumbs up, tell a friend to tell a friend, and I'll see you in my next video.